What is up guys, Greedy Knight here with a video discussing the Charge Blade changes in Title Update 2. There's a bit to go over, so let's get into it. The first change is that guard points now have perfect guard detection, and you can now chain into Savage Axe / upon a successful perfect guard from a guard point. It is what it sounds like. Guard points now become perfect guards when timed, well, perfectly. It means that performing the perfect guard or the well-timed guard point will always negate knockback now. The original decision to omit the option from Charge Blade is a complaint made by many Charge Blade fan rants over on Reddit. It resulted in guard points being ignored as a defensive option in favor of the perfect guard. You only use the guard point to morph and nothing more. Now that they have equalized both guarding options, it makes Savage Axe more accessible and increases your options, which is always a good thing. The regular guard is still unable to access Savage Axe since it is the worst block, but this is an understandable omission for an input that requires no timing. I will put these buffs together on the screen because they serve to do one thing: increase raw damage. Sword and Shield buffed the less used move since every quote-unquote meta Sword and Shield combo abuses the double charge slash. Impact Phials got a unilateral buff, with Impact Phial SAEDs being a clear winner of the patch. These are mainly motion value tweaks to improve Impact Phial since it was exceedingly lackluster compared to Savage Axe, which ignored Phial spam, and Element Phial, which invalidated Impact Phial. Paired with some motion value shifts, these changes move cutting damage into Phial damage and aims to incentivize using less utilized combo lines like the AED and follow-up combos. There is a new incentive to skip on guard point SAEDs now. When performing the AED into SAED combo, in other words going the long way, your SAED motion value goes from 27 to 38. It becomes 45 with overcharge phials. You are incentivized to build up your combo instead of spamming the guard point shortcut if you want maximum damage. After testing it with Element Phial, this also affects Element Phial damage. The increase is from an 11 element multiplier with overcharge phials to 14, making this the highest multiplier value in Charge Blade's history, previously being 13.5. In context, this is higher than Monster Hunter 4U and Rise Break's counter morph / SAED. As a result, you will always want to use a long combo during topples for maximizing damage, and going for quick bursts when the monster leaves a smaller window at the cost of lower but confirmed damage. However, there's an unlisted nerf on the first hit of Element Discharge 2, dropping the motion from 35 to 24. It's not talked about in the patch notes, just the value I noticed when testing. I've seen many speedrunners play without consuming a single phial by never looping through the AEDs and ignoring SAEDs entirely. This combo consists of Element Discharge 1 into Element Discharge 2, followed by a vertical attack of choice, then repeat. By nerfing Element Discharge 2's first hit, this makes the combo notably weaker with a massive 11 motion value drop. Paired with the buffs to AEDs and SAEDs, it's a strong hint that Capcom wants us to loop the proper combo and not use this machete combo with zero resource commitment. I'm not against changing values to buff less optimal combo lines, but an 11 motion value nerf seems like something at least worth mentioning in the patch notes since it is the biggest nerf on this list. The only justification for this nerf is to concentrate more of your attacking power into your finishers, which is the second hit of Element Discharge 2, and your amped element discharges. The next change is that Axe Element Discharge now changes more quickly into other basic Axe moves like Axe Dash Slam or Axe Lateral Fade Slash. The element discharges gain more speed now that they can chain more quickly into movement Axe attack. This allows you to fade slash faster, making them more practical for safety. Their sluggish movement pre-patch made the basic evade a better option more often than not. The final nerf on this list is the raw damage for multi-hit attacks while in Power Axe mode have been decreased. The Savage Axe ticks, also known as Power Axe ticks, were a bit overtuned in Wilds, so a nerf was warranted. Wild had it set at 9 motion value per tick, the average tick count per chop was 3, for an average of 27 motion per axe swing. Rise Break had each tick at 7 with a consistent 5 ticks for 35 motion per swing, on every swing. Meanwhile, Wilds had it at 14 motion value with 4 ticks for 54 per swing on every swing before the nerf. It's a reasonable nerf to bring it closer in line with Rise Break, Post title update 2, it dropped down to 10 motion value for a 4-point drop. It would have to be dropped below 9 motion value to be considered a true nerf. With the 4 ticks, it would be below that 35 motion value of Rise Break, making it weaker. This will hurt raw Charge Blade's damage, but it is intended to incentivize using element builds. If you've been on this channel for any amount of time, element is where it's at. Capcom fixed an issue where the phial explosion damage would not be applied when performing element discharge 1 or similar attacks with an impact phial, while phials were enhanced. The translation is that while you had overcharged phials, it was not applying the boost. However, based on the motion value sheet recorded before the patch and after my testing after the patch, this was working for element discharge 1, 2, the follow-up AED, and SAED. After the patch, this works only for the AED, the follow-up, and the SAED. The motion values for overcharged phials became the default for basic axe attacks, permanently raising the motion values from 10 to 12, and the amped discharges now apply the overcharged phial boost, including the SAED. This is a strict buff for your amped discharges and a technical buff for your element discharges. This fix concentrates more of your damage behind your finishers, which makes sense when finishers should be comboed into and spammed for maximum damage. At the same time, it doesn't benefit people who avoid the finishers since you are now hard stuck at 12 motion value instead of gaining that overcharged boost. They also fixed an issue where sharpness would decrease more than normal when performing a guard point while element boost was activated. The translation is that you would still lose the same amount of sharpness despite having your red shield charge. When receiving heavy knockback attacks, you lose 10 units, but some attacks would always register as heavy attacks even with guard investment, shield charge, and a guard point, which are all moves that boost your guarding ability. This will make fights like Zosha less miserable since you can tank more attacks while staying in white for longer using guard points. Paired with the recent change, you could also perfect guard with guard points as well. Truth be told, pre-patch, the sharpness did seem to consume more sharpness than normal when fighting monsters like Zosha, even through shield charge, so this is a very good fix. Lastly, they fixed an issue where the damage scaling from the rapid morph skill was being incorrectly applied to certain jumping attacks in axe mode. This is the only thing on the list that disappoints me. Yes, it makes sense that rapid morph should not activate on non-morphing attacks, but they fixed rapid morph, just not the thing that actually needed fixing. As it stands now, rapid morph doesn't do anything for the 2 weapons it's supposed to buff. The morphing increase has been tested to be negligible for both weapons, and the 20% damage boost only applies on morph attacks, which results in a whopping 2-point increase on Savage Axe ticks. They could have improved the rapid morph feature to work akin to Rise Break, or change how the damage boost works so it's valuable enough to run. However, they didn't. And that's why rapid morph is going straight to the scrap bin until it does get properly fixed. Overall, this is a very good patch for Charge Blade. Between the guard point change and the AED into SAD buff, this incentivizes the right moves and fixes what needed to be fixed. At first I was against the design of WILDS Charge Blade, but if they continue to balance the weapon like in Title Update 2, I will flip sides and say WILDS is the best version of Charge Blade. Only future title updates can change my mind. Like if this video was useful to you, consider subscribing if you want to see more Charge Blade content like this. Comment your thoughts down below about the patch notes or title update 2 in general. That's all I got for this one. Greedy Knight, signing out.